Hello everyone, how you going? And welcome back to some more Heritage Minutes. Now this time we're just starting up with Lucy Maud Montgomery.
What do I like? I like open fires, moonlit nights, chatty letters, rainy days. I like daydreaming. I love this colorful little island of ruby, emerald, and sapphire. Yet often my dark moods come. I'm possessed body and soul by this depression. They say women shouldn't write. Some days I almost give up. But I cannot contain my imagination. I made Anne real. I gave her my love of nature, my love of books, and my childhood dreams. My greatest happiness would be to climb the alpine path and write upon it a woman's humble name.
Lucy Maud Montgomery battled depression, rejection, and sexism to become known around the world for Anne of Green Gables and 19 other novels.
Wow, well, I never knew that the writer was from Canada. I think I just always assumed that it was from the UK. Never really put that much thought into it, but no, Lucy Maud Montgomery was actually Canadian and lived on a small island, apparently. I'm wondering if it says in the description now. No, I don't think so. Nothing I'm reading there says where she's from originally, but no, she said something about Ruby Island, which just looks incredible with that footage. Here we go. I think it was, no, right here.
I love this colorful little island of ruby, emerald, and sapphire.
Yeah, this colorful little island of ruby, emerald, and sapphire. That's just an incredible way to put this entire scene here. That's all we're seeing. I don't know why it's such a red earth, and I'd love to know exactly where this is, because she does say that it's an island. So is she living off, I don't know, maybe one of the east coast islands of Canada? I really have no idea where it might be. But no, obviously then skipping along to her story and her writing of stories, you can just see that, well, clearly she's been in some very dark times. And then to be getting a letter, I want to see this Henry Holt. It's like a single frame Henry Holt and something, maybe company. That would be the only thing. I was thinking it was going to be a name, but no, Publishing Co. New York. And then there never seems to be a frame where it's completely in focus, but then unfortunately the something of your manuscript of Anne of Green Gables was just rejected, I think is what it says in a further one. Unfortunately, we regret to inform you that your manuscript of Anne of Green Gables was not accepted for publication. That's me just smashing the two together, but no, that would have been such an incredible thing. And then now to sell however many copies of that book and novel, that's just insane. And honestly, when you just hear her say things like this,
I gave her my love of nature, my love of books. And my childhood dreams.
Just the combination of all those things where I guess you never really got to live out this, and so you just, I guess, live vicariously through the book that you actually write. And that would be incredible to be able to write to the extent and write so well where you can just create a character of your entire dreams. You know, you don't have to try and find someone else's thing that just roughly fits your idea or whatever your dreams were. No, you get to create it from scratch, and then it was just mega successful. And so to be honest, now I'm just wondering what her 19 other novels were, because to be honest, I don't know mounds about her. I do know the name and the title of the book, and I think I've read bits of it, or I've heard bits of it, but I certainly know how famous it is. And so is it just completely overshadowing all these other incredible books that were also kind of bestsellers, just not to the massive, just nth degree that Anne of Green Gables is? I don't know. But either way, if you were just able to create 19, or I guess actually 20 characters in total that are just living all these different lives, you just have so many different avenues you can explore, and I guess that's just escapism at its finest, isn't it? But anyway, now moving on to our second one, we have Edmonton Grads.
It's packed to the rafters in the Edmonton Arena. Everyone is feeling the pressure on the Grads as they await the American champs. Here's the Cleveland favorite Knits now, and boy, do they look impressive.
Look at their uniforms. I bet you could sure run in smart shirts like those.
Not that. Look, world champs, my eye.
Grads, we don't play for glory. We play the game for the game's sake. So tonight, you're going to earn that title by playing your game. Teamwork, passing. Let's show them what it means to play the Grads.
The Edmonton Grads were champions for 25 years. The record of 502 wins and only 20 losses is unmatched in all of sport.
Whoa, unmatched in all of sport? How the hell do you make that comparison? I mean, I guess it's just records of everything, aren't there? But no, unmatched in all of sport. That would have been a hell of a research thing to be able to create that kind of Guinness Book of World Records title. But to be having 512 wins to 20 losses, that's just incredible. I mean, imagine if a boxer or something like that, which is a little bit more prevalent in terms of wins versus losses and draws and everything. Imagine if a boxer had 512 wins under their belt. Like, it's honestly incredible. And boxing, yes, it's very particular in terms of they take months and months or weeks at least to prepare for an individual fight for the individual opponent, but these people, these Edmonton Grads, are just pumping through their games to be able to play, 512 games in 25 years. That's a lot of games, let alone all the ones that they inevitably would have drawn along the way. And so they probably played 600, 700 games, something like that in 25 years. That's a lot. And so I can only assume, even though they were a little bit intimidated at the start here by the world champs, I can only assume that for ages everyone was just intimidated by them, going, it's basically just a guaranteed loss. I mean, I certainly hope that they got to be world champs and just wear the shorts instead of, I can only assume, skirts. Yeah, because they said something about, oh, wouldn't it be incredible to play in shorts? And so just cruising on down to here, what have we got? The Grads challenged the self-proclaimed, world champions, the Cleveland favorite Nits, to a 2-game tournament in 1923. They would go on to be the most successful team in Canadian sports history. Okay, so maybe not all history, but team in Canadian sport history is certainly a hell of a thing to be having under your belt. But actually, I didn't notice that the first time round, because with every Heritage Minute there was just a million bits of information flying at you at any one second, but they were wearing knee pads and the other team isn't, and so is that their secret weapon? I wonder how they got hold of those. I can only imagine that knee pads weren't the most, or were the pretty rudimentary, if nothing else, in the 1920s, and so to be playing with these massive just wads on your knees probably wouldn't have been the most ergonomic or comfy thing, but at least it would have saved your knees if you fall over. I mean, but in saying that, that's a little bit confusing because it's not like they wear knee pads and protection in modern basketball, and so I wonder where it came from and why it fizzled out. But realistically, just coming to the end here, I want to see, I can only imagine this is the original photo. Look at them, that's an incredible uniform. I can only assume these the coach, but would that have been the entire team? Really? Only 6 of them? Surely there would have been 8 or something like that. I guess you got 5 and then really only 1 sub, because otherwise they just would have been doing so many substitutions. I mean, maybe that was their key, just be super fit and never sub anyone off, and so you never have any game time, or no, you never have any downtime, you have plenty of game time. But either way, they just found something that works, and so good on them. But anyway, now moving on to our third one, we have Richard Pierpoint.
When he was only 16, Richard Pierpoint was enslaved in Senegal and taken to America.
All us men have sworn on this petition to fight.
You're an old man. The British Army has militias and trained soldiers.
I fought with the British during the American Revolution.
Take your land and farm it. Leave the Americans to us.
With respect, sir. I was born a free man, and I intend to die one. Your officers fight for land and money. I fight for my freedom.
Richard Pierpoint was one of thousands of black loyalists who won their freedom in the American Revolution. 30 years later, at the age of 68, he petitioned for an all-black unit that would defend Upper Canada during the War of 1812.
Ah, man, they just love to sneak a little bit of a roller coaster into every single Heritage Minute. Every week we have these, it's just like, oh, I'm just loving it, and then I'm going, oh, and then I'm loving it, and I go, oh, and this one just at least ended on a positive note. But in Senegal in 1760, you were enslaved at the age of 16. What? All the way to America. It's not like you're even going from Canada or Mexico to the USA. You're going all that way. That's just ridiculous. I mean, I'm curious, wait, did they say America or the USA?
Richard Pierpoint was enslaved in Senegal and taken to America.
Yeah, taken to America, and so I can only assume that means the USA in terms of America. So I wonder where along the line he became part of Canada. Was it to do with the American Revolution? I guess no, he said he fought with the British, so yes, that would make him end up in Canada, I guess. And so then after all these years, he said it was taken at 16, and then was it 62?
30 years later, at the age of 68.
At the age of 68, wait, now I'm confused because 16 plus 30 does definitely not equal 68. But either way, to go out of his way at his, I guess like he said, he called him an old man, at 68 to just be still fighting for your freedom. I mean, I guess you'd never stop, you would just want it, of course you would. But even just to dream up the idea like, okay, you don't have to pay us money, you don't have to pay us land, you just have to give us our freedom, that's all we really want. And so to then have thousands of people signing this petition in the end, really just shows you how driven they were, regardless of their age, regardless of whether, I can only imagine if they were 16 or 68, that you were willing to go to war against America and just fight for your freedom, or I guess potentially die for your freedom in that regard. But anyway, now moving on to our fourth one, we have Paris Crew.
You Canada was just a few days old when 4 young men from St. John, New Brunswick dared to challenge the French and British world champions at their own sport.
Okay, sure.
In their absurd pink caps and brown suspenders, few gave them a chance against Oxford or the legendary Parisians. Their hometown had bet $100,000 and would not be disappointed. Ross, Hutton, Fulton, and Price, unbeaten for the rest of their rowing career, they'd be known worldwide as the Paris crew.
But that is now just to this video where we have incredible records from having 512 wins to 20-ish losses. I think it was 23, 22 maybe. But then for these guys to remain unbeaten for their entire, career, I really don't know which one outweighs which, but that is just insane. The fact that you were just beating, they said the legendary French and then also the British, which I believe they said might have even been world champs, and the fact that even that Canada was only, days old. That is just insane. Just representing the original flag. But how do you even just invite that or challenge them in the first place? Like, how do 4 random guys, like, surely I can't just get 3 other guys together and go, okay, you know what, let's just go challenge the world champions in any random sport. Surely you would have to have some kind of record or history or heritage just showing that you can actually just even put up a fight to be even invited or allowed to race them. I don't understand. And then also it's a little bit weird that you would call them the Paris crew. I mean, I guess originally they raced in Paris and they beat the French and the British in Paris, but then to be called the Paris crew when you're from Canada, I feel as though that's a little bit backward. Surely you would just want to be labelled, what was it, 4-headed oarsmen from St. John's, New Brunswick. Surely you would just want to be labelled the New Brunswick crew, not the Paris crew. Electrify Canadians with their victory in the World Rowing Championship in Paris. Like I said, how do you get invited to the World Championships in Paris, and why is there only 2 other countries, being Britain and France, involved? You know, where's the rest of Europe? Where's the USA, for goodness sake? If Canada's being invited, where the hell is USA? Because they're just a few years ahead of Canada. I mean, it certainly doesn't take away from their achievement, because that's just very impressive. Like I said, to remain unbeaten for your entire career in, I guess, when was this? 1867, that's where I'm getting the 7 from. And so to be getting a boat builder, either, would you get it in France? Would you ship your original boat over from Canada if you've been training in it? Or if you haven't been training, I just don't understand how you've even won it. Really, there are just so many questions surrounding the logistics and how these guys managed to pull this off. I do not understand it. I mean, even like the narrator said, I do love their outfits. They're pink, even though it looks a little bit red, and then the brown overalls. You certainly would have been the laughing stock, and hey, if someone turned up like that to an Olympic event, they'd probably get laughed at too. But hey, as long as you can just show up and you've got the skills to pay the bills, no one's going to care what you're wearing after a while. It's going to become your signature thing, and if you just keep winning, then it's just even better. I guess the only other thing that I do want some clarification about, he said the town that they are from, being New Brunswick, only had $100,000. And so I've just come on to here we go, that's $100,000 in 1867 would cost what? Oh, okay, you can't go back far enough. Well, 1914, sure, let's just add on, 50%? 2.5 million. So let's just say that even if they have 10 million as an entire New Brunswick, that's a pretty small GDP for quite a large country or quite a large city now, unless they've already taken inflation into the equation and it was literally $100,000 in today's money. That would be insane. Either way, it's obviously quite a small town, and so like I said, 4 guys from just the middle of nowhere coming out of the complete blue. Really, I don't know how they did it, but honestly, just good on them, because they obviously just showed up, they performed just over and over and over and over again, and I honestly just would love to know what they were on to be able to do that, because it sounds impossible, but hey, if they did it, they did it regardless of what it is. I'm sure they just accomplished it because it's a heritage minute and they never lie. But anyway, in saying that, I reckon I'm going to call it there. So thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, feel free to do the YouTube algorithmic things down below. Also, if this is the first video of mine that you're watching, then make sure to check out just any other ones I've done. I've done plenty of heritage minutes, I've done plenty of everything now. Also, make sure to go check out all the original videos down in the description below, or hey, maybe even just want to consider subscribing so that you don't miss another one of these in the future. But all in all, have a good one and see ya.